We just passed the one-year anniversary of October 7th, the Hamas attack on Israel that became the trigger and the pretext for the U.S.-backed Israeli genocide against the Palestinian people trapped in Gaza. This has been a year of horrors, and we are really glad to have here on the show today to talk about this, to bring this alive, Alan Goodman, who is a writer for RevCom.us. He has been covering this. He has traveled to the region in the past. Alan, welcome to the Revolution Nothing Less show.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Can you bring alive what has been the toll in Gaza? What is the impact of this U.S.-backed genocide that Israel has been carrying out?
Yeah, I think at the 1 year point, it's a time to kind of try and put the picture together, but it's also the occasion of a report from 99 medical workers who were in Gaza over the last year. And they actually shine a light on a situation that is worse than any of us understood. Just to take one statistic, they report that the death toll of Palestinians in Gaza is not in the 40-some thousands, but is about 119,000. This is people who are already have been killed by Israel. This is, as they say in the letter, and this is a letter that these medical professionals wrote to Biden and Harris. We'll get back to Biden and Harris before we're done, I'm sure. But they point out this is an astonishing 5.4% of Gaza's population. And their letter, from the perspective of doctors and other medical professionals, they make the point that they're really the only force from the outside world, because reporting is shut down, it's censored, it's whited out in the U.S. media, and civil authorities in Gaza are simply not equipped to really even document the death toll. So the letter, the piece that I wrote on the letter is available at revcom.us, along with another article summing up more in broad strokes and wider lens the whole situation in Gaza and in Palestine. But this report, it's stunning, it's heartbreaking, it's infuriating, and I want to zoom in on one thing. I mean, we could do 20 installments here, the mass starvation, the disease, but here's what I want to zoom in on. Gaza was the first time I held a baby's brains in my hand. The first of many. That's a quote from Dr. Perlmutter, an orthopedic and hand surgeon who was in Gaza over the last year. He's a US-based doctor. And then the report goes on to sum up the experience of these 99 healthcare professionals. And here's what it says. Every one of us who worked in an emergency intensive care or surgical setting treated preteen children who were shot in the head or chest on a regular or even daily basis. It is impossible that such widespread shooting of young children throughout Gaza, sustained over the course of an entire year, is accidental or unknown to the highest Israeli civilian and military authorities. And I think that's just so emblematic of everything that Israel is about. It's a concentration of a country built literally on the blood and bones of Palestinian people driven from their homeland through terrorist ethnic cleansing. It's emblematic of an apartheid regime that is facing different crises and seized on October 7th to unleash this massive genocidal horror. And I just can't get this imagery out of my mind or stop thinking about, you walk up what the authors of this letter point to, the highest Israeli civilian and military authorities. In other words, this is a concentration of what Israeli society is really all about, what Israel is really all about. And what your government, American people, is funding, arming, excusing, suppressing protest of, censoring reporting of. So, keep that in your head and then ask yourself why. And this is where we have to go back to the point that Bob Avakian has been just struggling with people, good people, for the whole period that this has been going on, that this is a product, U.S. backing for this is a product of a system, a capitalist imperialist system that cannot survive without feeding on the child laborers in Democratic Republic of Congo, the women sweatshop workers in Bangladesh. And to enforce domination of a world like that, you have to control the Middle East. And to control the Middle East and much of the rest of the world where Israel has been a hitman for the U.S. empire, to do that requires just constant, depraved, ghastly violence. And so you walk up the chain from the military that's systematically assassinating young children and babies in Gaza, and you get to a system that is crying out for revolution.
Yeah, I understand that on this 1-year anniversary, Al Jazeera actually released a documentary that is documenting these widespread atrocities, crimes against humanity, war crimes being carried out regularly by Israeli soldiers. And the documentation that Al Jazeera assembles in this is all taken from the Israeli soldiers' own social media postings, bragging and boasting and celebrating these atrocities. I think we'll show just a little bit of footage from the opening of that documentary.
The West cannot hide. They cannot claim ignorance. Nobody can say they didn't know. We live in an era of technology, and this has been described as the first live stream genocide in history, and I believe that to be true. They are conducting a genocide now with glee. They're setting their atrocities to music and putting them on catchy reels on TikTok. Ordinary Israelis see what their military is doing and celebrate it. It's not just fringe elements who see this and think it's a good thing.
When a nation protects its home, it fights. And we will fight until we'll break their backbone. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true. It's an entire nation out there that is responsible.
One of the most dangerous things about this whole situation is not only the continued and intensifying genocide in Gaza, which you've been bringing alive and the footage we showed makes very vivid, but the fact that Israel is now, on the 1-year anniversary, actively expanding this war. It is carrying out crimes in the West Bank, ripping up civilian infrastructure, roads, hospitals, water treatment plants. Israel has now launched an invasion into Lebanon. It has displaced 1/5 of the country, flattened the whole southern region of Lebanon, completely bombed and leveled almost all the structures in many villages there. And right now, Israel and Iran are exchanging, escalating missile strikes and assassination attempts. There's back and forth with the risk of this spiraling into an even wider regional war and potentially pulling in imperialist gangsters from China and Russia on one end and from the U.S. on the other directly, which has really profound danger to all of humanity. This is a very dangerous situation. People need to stand up against what you have correctly indicted as the U.S. government and system that is the primary cause and responsible party in these atrocities and this escalation. The protest needs to step up in this country, and it underscores why people actually have to break out of the choices, the horrific choices that this system is claiming are the only choices, which is if you want your voice to be heard, you got to express it in the ballot box. And there's an upcoming election which does not have a chance of dealing with and providing a resolution to this atrocity. I wonder if you could speak about how you see these elections and what the real choices are that people have.
Yeah, well, first of all, to support either Trump, a genocidal maniac who supported every action Israel took against the Palestinians when he was in power, or Harris, who has been in on every major decision Biden has made to send 2,000-pound bombs to drop on people, the people in refugee camps. This is what you are enlisting in. That is the moral line that you have crossed. If you find a way to convince yourself that Harris is the lesser evil and that that's where your energy and your support should go, you are then complicit. And also, as you were pointing out, Sansara, it's just not true, objectively, scientifically, that these are the only choices. You have to have the courage, both of your convictions, to not sign on and enlist with Harris or Trump. But you also have to have the courage to look scientifically at what Bob Avakian has been breaking down in his social media at Bob Avakian Official about why now, with all the crises in society from top to bottom, with all the craziness in the world, now is a time when there is a chance for revolution, when this system is more vulnerable than it has been since the Civil War. And put in the work, open your eyes. That's part of your moral responsibility here, not aligning with either of the evils.
All right, Alan Goodman, I'm so glad that we were able to have you here on the Revolution Nothing Less show. And this 1-year anniversary, a really dark anniversary that we have to make an impetus to do exactly as you said, learn about, fight for, and make real an actual revolution that gets humanity out of this nightmare. I'm sure we'll have you back.
I will just add, stopping this genocide right now is part of that.
Yeah, and we want to have you back, I'm sure, very soon. For now, thank you so much.
Good to be here.
Great.